Hi there, this is Giuseppe Corcella from Virtual Orchestration, and in this video I'm going to review a brand new library by Key Instruments called the Oeser. And first of all, I would like to thank Key Instruments for kindly sending us a copy of the library to review. This is a quite peculiar library. Indeed, they sampled a handmade piano by Frank Oeser from 1877. On the website and on the manual, you will find some history of this piano as well as some information about the sampling process of the instrument and the creation of the library, and a bunch of photos. This is the actual piano, and there are quite a few pictures that you can see on the web page. This library sells for 75 euros, and it supports the NKS native control standard protocol, so it runs in a contact player and you need to register your serial number via native access. Together with the library, you get the Oeser Sample Pack, including a few hundreds of royalty-free samples you can use in your compositions or to get started with some ideas, and we will check it out at the end of the review. So when you purchase the library, you get this sample pack for free. The library comes with 4 NKI instruments: felted, muted, picked, and pure. The Oeser Pure is basically the natural sound of this piano. The felted one, of course, features the felted keys of the piano. The muted one was recorded while muting the strings with the hand, and the picked one was recorded by a guitarist using guitar picks to play the strings. The user interface is really minimal. You don't have indeed a lot of parameters. You don't have a lot of pages. You just have one page with this picture of the piano on the background and just 8 knobs to control the sound. On the first slot there are 3 mic positions: top, bottom, and overheads. The overheads one was positioned 1.5 meters above the piano, while the top and the bottom mics were placed closer to the instrument itself. In the second slot, called experience, you basically can bring up some noises from the piano itself to better bring it to life. There are basically volume controls for the pedal noise, the keys noise, and lounge is basically a room reverb you can use to add more character to the sound. And finally, in the last slot, you have 2 more knobs. One controls the velocity range, so you can decide to have a harder or softer velocity response rather than the natural one of the acoustic piano they sampled. And using the last knob, you can open or close the lid of the piano. So you have just a few parameters, but they are, in my opinion, essential to create your own sound. This piano was deeply sampled, and you can have an idea of this by watching to the amount of RAM that all this patch takes. Almost 2 gigabytes of RAM. Luckily we have the sample purge on contact, so you don't have to worry about that if you are working on a computer without a decent amount of RAM. If you click on these red buttons, you can enable or disable these knobs, and apparently they don't release the sample from the RAM, but again you can just click on that and use the sample purge. You can also assign to a control change every parameter by right clicking on them. Then on the snapshots view you will find also a few presets for any of these instruments. So let's hear how it sounds. Let's start with the pure sound of this instrument. Let's play around with some parameters so you can listen yourself how it sounds. I love how the sound becomes wider and opens up as you turns up the lead knob. I really like the intimate sound of this piano. So let's try now some presets. Okay, now let's go to the felted one and let's see how it sounds. I really like this one. Maybe for my own taste, I like this more than the natural, but this is just a personal opinion. By the way, you can hear that the sound is less wide than the pure one. I think that it can also work fine for layering with other piano sounds, both faded and not. Okay, let's try the muted one. This is a very nice muted sound, actually. I believe you can also use these patches. I really appreciate that they didn't stop to just the mere natural sound, but they added this quite uncommon way of playing the instrument. Doing this, they also give you the chance to layer some of these patches together and create a completely brand new sound out of this piano. We will try to build a custom sound later on. Now let's go to the last one, the picked patch. The muted and the picked one are, let's say, two kind of plucked sounds, but the picked is, of course, more resonant than the muted. It's like a soft harpsichord. I really like this sound. Let's try just a couple of presets. So now let's try to mix a couple of these patches. For example, we can load the felted and the muted. Okay, so yeah, you have a lot of possibilities here of shaping your sound. You can also try to layer all of them. I haven't noticed any issue layering these two sounds, so the best option for you is anyways to try again, play around with these knobs, these parameters, and of course mixing the instruments together. As you can see, this is not just a mere historical piano. The sounding possibilities are actually wide. We are approaching the end of our review, and let's have a quick look to the Oeser Sample Pack. So you basically have three main folders here: clean samples, processed samples, and loops. On the clean samples you have these components and then strings, attack, fx, percussive tone, and hood. Then we have a few loops here with BPMs. Finally, the processed samples, which could also be interesting for those of you who work in the production music field, trailer music, and stuff like that. So now let's randomly try some of them. I'll start with the clean samples. I will import the audio files inside Cubase so you can also see how the waveform looks like. Let's start with clean samples and components. This is called lead spring. See, you can just drag the audio file inside your sequencer. Okay, let's go to the strings, attack. Okay, now the strings fx. For example, this is called a strings broken. Strings fairy. Very nice. Strings Halloween. This makes me curious. Some horror mood here. This is called the strings harder isn't possible. Such a long release. You have a lot of strings effects here, actually. Let's try last one, strings piano riser. Not bad, actually. Okay, now the percussive strings. Let's try just a couple of them. Strings falling. Strings riverside. This is interesting. I like this one. Strings tone is called strings mastermind. Strings raw. And then let's try last one, strings vibrato. Okay, let's go to the hood now. We have here fx. They are considerably less than the strings, but let's try this hood snare. Hood creaking. Let's try hood ruining. Okay, now we have here percussive long and percussive short. Oh, this is called Hood Godzilla. Let's try a hood tie breaker and a hood church, and then a percussive short, for example, hood hanger. Okay, let's go straight to the loops. We have just a few loops here with BPMs, and let's try, for example, the Sumba Sumba. The Happy Walk. Let's try the Fresh Air. I think that both the sound and the rhythm are quite interesting. I'm not personally a fan of pre-made loops. Let's say that if I have to use a loop, I usually prefer to have a MIDI file, so I can use it as a starting point, and then I can maybe build something else starting from there when, for example, I am stuck and I cannot have an idea right now and a very short amount of time to think about it. Let's say that the loop section is very limited in this sample pack, so you have a lot of other sounds you can use to build your own rhythmic section, or to use here and there in your composition, like any other percussion or any other FX sound you usually use. And this makes this sample pack very interesting. Let's go to the processed samples. We have we have a lot of FX here, and let's try some of them. For example, this is called Down Lifter. Whoa, I didn't expect this kind of sound, but I really appreciate it. This is called the Laser Beam, and he had percussion loop. It's another loop here. Earthquake. This sounds interesting. Let's try now another couple of them. This is called Talking. And this is called Underground. Next folder is Impact. This is Heart Attack. This is nice. Okay, now we have some risers. For example, this is called Death. Title card. This looks interesting. This is interesting. I like it. Behind you. Uplifter. And finally we have a tonal folder. In conclusion, I really like this library. I am a fan of historical instrument, and I think this can actually be considered as an historical instrument since it's a piano from 1877. And as I said, this is a peculiar sound. In any case, this is not just another acoustic piano. As I tried to show you in this review, you have a lot of sounding possibilities, and even if there are just a few parameters available, these parameters are the essential ones to shape a specific sound out of this piano. And also the four NKI instruments are quite different one from the other, so you can layer them together if you want to create a brand new sounds out of this. And also I think they blend well together. Talking about the price, I believe that 75 euros is a fair price for this kind of instrument, for what it gives to you, and also considering that when you buy this instrument you get the sample pack for free, which is a nice sample pack in my opinion. You have a lot of sounds which are not acoustic piano sounds, are hits, percussion, loops, FX, risers also. So these extend your sounding palette, and also considering the sample pack for itself, price of 7.5 euros is quite good for the amount of samples it gives to you from my perspective. So it's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to support virtual orchestration, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and if you don't want to lose any update about future videos or future reviews, click on the notification button. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for your support, and I'll see you on the next review.